Hello, my name is Beck and welcome to a quick little book tag. This is the Unpopular Opinions book tag, and the first question on this list is name a popular book or series that you didn't like, and for me that is Game of Thrones. I did read the first book and I gave it a 4 stars, but I DNF'd the series after getting further in, and I did like the TV show, didn't like the ending. So Game of Thrones is just one of those widespread fantasy series that as soon as people realize that I'm a fantasy reader, they always ask me about, but it's not something that I really liked that much. Question number 2 is name a popular book or series that everyone else seems to hate, but that I love. And I was really thinking about this and I genuinely cannot for the life of me figure this one out. I think my tastes for the most part align with what a lot of people love, and saying hate is a very strong reaction to something. I didn't love Jade City, I didn't love Rage of Dragons, and I didn't love The Poppy War, but at the same time I didn't hate them either. So I feel like they partly count, but they don't count for like the vehemence of this question. Question number 3 is name a book with a love triangle where the characters ended up with somebody that you didn't want them to end up with. And for me, this has got to be a book series by J. Kristoff. I'm not going to say which one. I don't want to spoil anything, but I was quite disappointed, and I'm just going to move on because I don't want to take time away from this video talking about that series. Question number 4 is name a genre that is quite popular that you don't really reach for. And usually I'd say something like historical fiction, because I think I've done this tag before and I said that, and I cited The Book Thief as an example. I liked The Book Thief, I'm not obsessed with it, but for this round of the tag I might go with magical realism, because that is when there is like magical aspects to a story that make it more like, it's hard to put my finger on it, but it makes it more ephemeral. It's not hard and fast like urban fantasy, which is what I love. It's got that more like mental could this actual magical thing be real or not kind of vibe to it. And I want my magic system to be present. I want it to be there. I want magical creatures to be involved. I want magic to be a hard and fast thing about a book, and that is why I pick it up. I don't want it to be maybe just things the character is seeing or imagining. I want them to be part of the world building. Like I want them to be something the character actively interacts and responds with, rather than something that might just be in their head. So magical realism is not really something that I generally reach for. I try not to reach for it because I know that I'm just going to be disappointed. Question number 5 is name a popular book character that everyone seems to love but you just don't like. And for me, I actually DNF'd this book. I started it this year and I was not a fan really, and it's Gideon the Ninth, and the main character is Gideon. I just found her very angsty and the type of character that I probably would have latched onto if I was like 16, but now that my tastes have changed and shifted, not entirely out of YA, but for the most part out of YA, that book was personally just a little bit too weird and also too angsty for me. So I DNF'd it and I don't really like Gideon that much. Question number 6 is name a popular author that you just can't become a fan of for whatever reason. I've mentioned my answer to this question before, and that is I just can't get into Neil Gaiman's writing style. I want to, I just can't. I have tried several times and it is just for some reason not something that my brain just takes on. I don't know what it is. So Neil Gaiman unfortunately is not for me. Another one that I want to include is Robert Jordan, because I've read and really enjoyed the first Wheel of Time book, and I feel like that is an unpopular opinion because people tend to like the other books in the series more than the first one, but I've so far liked the first one the most and I've read 2. So I don't think the way that Robert Jordan writes is something that I can take on board. He uses lots of miscommunication in his work, and I guess when you're starting in the genre of fantasy, and he really pushed the genre of fantasy to become what it is, he was one of those originals, I guess. Because of the way that he writes such miscommunication with his characters, I just can't get on board with it. It needs to be miscommunication for a reason and not as the driving force of your story. If your characters are not talking to each other, it is not a strong book to me. So that is why I gave the second book in the series, The Great Hunt, a 2 stars. I'm really on the fence about this one. I want to give up with Robert Jordan, but I also don't. I don't know what my choice is going to be going forward, but for this answer, I think he suffices. Question number 7 is a popular trope that you are sick of seeing. Honestly, in fantasy, there's a lot of The Chosen One, but I tend to not mind that so much if it's done quite well. Again, tropes aren't a bad thing. If they're done very well, they're excellent, but sometimes I'm just really sick of seeing the same pattern over and over. And the one that I'm sick of seeing a lot of is a secret royal character. So it might just be an an orphan who has been in rags, they've come to riches, they've come to power, and then it's come out that actually they're just the lost prince of this kingdom and now they've got to rule and they have no idea how to do that because they don't have all the formal training, etc., etc. I don't like that trope because it immediately elevates the character, and I don't want that to happen. I want my character to be that unwilling hero that is just brought into the story because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time and now they feel kind of obligated to help. I don't want them to have to now physically be stuck there. I like them to be able to make choices and go places and not have this obligation to rule a nation on top of that. I like more underdog kind of characters, I guess, and so Secret Royal is just something that annoys me because it comes with responsibility, and I want a character who is kind of like a street rat, street urchin, and doesn't have that responsibility. And now question number 8, that is a popular series that you have absolutely no interest in reading. I would have to say Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. I've talked about Throne of Glass before and I'm not interested in reading that series anymore. So I feel like Crescent City is a fairly obvious answer for me. In a previous video, I've also said Malazan, which is a massive, complicated fantasy series, and I don't tend to really like old school fantasy series. I think that is my ultimate unpopular opinion. Not that I don't like them, it's just that I can't find enjoyment in them like I might have been able to find enjoyment in them like 10 years ago. So I think I just missed the boat on a lot of them, and Malazan would definitely be one of them. Additionally, I also don't think I have any interest in reading the Tales of Ersi by Ursula K. Le Guin. I do have a copy of it and I'm probably going to get rid of it soon because I just don't have any motivation to start it. Not to say I'm never going to read Ursula K. Le Guin. I'm probably going to pick up her work at some point in the future because she's again one of those old hat fantasy writers that really informed a lot of the genre. I'm a bit umming and ahhing about her because again, like a lot of the other older fantasy that I've read, I feel like I've missed the boat, but I feel like I actually need to just give her a try. I need to try her before I diss the fact that I will enjoy her. So Ersi is just not the place that I envision myself starting, so I don't have any interest in it. Also, I watched part of the adaptation for the Tales of Ersi is the Studio Ghibli movie, and it was just so boring. And so I usually love Studio Ghibli, but I just found it very dry, and I'm really worried that that's what Ersi is going to be in a book format because I've seen reviews come out middle of the road, and I don't want to read an okay book. I want to be wowed by my TBR, and I don't see Earthsea wowing me, so that's probably why I'm going to get rid of it. And now the last question on this tag is, the saying goes, a book is always better than the movie. But what is a movie that you actually enjoyed more than the book form? And for me, again, I'm going to bookend this video with saying Game of Thrones again. Although I didn't like the ending, I feel like I wouldn't have enjoyed the first book in the series without having watched the show first, because it gave a lot of clarity to who people were and to where places were and what places looked like and what the significance of things was. So that's why I like Game of Thrones. Also, I've read the first 2 novella collections of The Witcher, and I'm not somebody who's hugely into novella collections anyway, so I'm trying to take my opinions with a grain of salt, but I really enjoyed the show compared to the book. There were things about the show that I found confusing, like the timeline thing, for example. But in hindsight, now that I've watched the first season of the show and I've read the first 2 novella collections, I can actually say that I like the show more. So hopefully after I finish the first book, Blood of Elves, in the series, and then I go into the second series of the show, maybe I'll revise my opinion. But at the moment, that is what stands for this question. And there you go. That is the end of this book tag. Come and chat to me down below. Let me know a book that you didn't like when you thought it would be popular and amazing. I would genuinely be interested to know because we've all got such different tastes that you might end up saying one of my favorites. But thank you again so much for watching this video. Come chat to me in the comments and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.